as promised, it is the second Cowboys Report of the day. Today we're looking at some of the top free agent targets left unsigned out there for the Dallas Cowboys. Since the draft has ended, they've signed Ezekiel Elliott, who, as it turns out, will be wearing number 15, not number 21. More on that in a little bit. Damian Wilson and Tyron Billy Johnson. Since that draft ended, there are still 2 open roster spots for Dallas based on the reported UDFA signings. And there are still needs out there that this team could fill. Running back help remains one of the largest ones. There are bodies. There is not proven talent and ability on this roster at the moment, at least not youthful explosive ability. We'll talk about the options there. Defensive tackle depth would be really nice because it's a very thin room there. Maybe you add one of the sexier wide receivers out there in terms of talent left. And there's also still options for proven defensive depth, led by Stephon Gilmore, who is unsigned. Do you want the Cowboys to sign someone who is good? Then like today's video right now, we'll send the good vibes for a team that needs the good vibes. Like today's video right now. The Cowboys running back room looks like this. Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, Royce Freeman, Malik Davis, Hunter Lipke, who's partially a fullback, Snoop Connor, and Nate Peets. Nate Peets probably not going to make your 53-man roster, which does make this one of the slower running back rooms in the NFL. Also one of the least invested in rooms. I mean, your most expensive guy is $2 million in Ezekiel Elliott. That's it. And it's not like there's a bunch of high-end young draft picks in there either. There's a 6th rounder in Deuce Vaughn at the moment. So the free agents that are out there, I've seen several of you guys mention Cam Akers. There was once a point in which Cam Akers looked like one of the better young backs in the NFL. I think the rash of injuries has been a massive problem for him. He averaged under 2.8 yards per carry last year. For that reason, I think you're actually better off riding with Zeke at that point. I would like to find some explosiveness, some speed, some big playability. So there are 2 guys who could, emphasis on could, offer that. Jerick McKinnon, the Chiefs running back from last year, who is fast and does have ties, by the way, to Mike Zimmer. McKinnon is getting up there in age, though. He's 31 years old. I don't think the athletic ability is the same 4.41 speed he used to offer at his absolute prime. But he does offer you some pass-catching value. I mean, he had 56 catches for 512 yards and 9 touchdowns back in 2022, 10 total, by the way. There is some third down value. Rashad Penny, meanwhile, I thought was going to play a pretty good role for Philadelphia when he had signed last. Thought he'd split time with DeAndre Swift. Ended up not really playing at all and now remains unsigned, which makes me wonder if he's just done altogether. And that's kind of my concern across the board here. The free agent options are bad. It's Rashad Penny. It's Kareem Hunt, who was outplayed by Ezekiel Elliott. It's Joshua Kelly. It's Melvin Gordon. It's guys like Marlon Mack, Latavius Murray. You might have heard of some of those names. None of those guys played well last season. So I think at this point for the Cowboys, you're probably trying to pursue the trade market or wait for someone else to get cut in terms of finding an upgrade over what you have at the moment. So name a free agent who you would like to sign. It is the pinned comment on today's video. If the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. I do want to look at the cornerback room. Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland, Jordan Lewis, Kalen Carson, I think are roster locks. I think everyone else is fighting for a spot with hybrid half-feet to C.J. Goodwin, given his special teams value there. So a couple veteran names I want to mention. First up is Patrick Peterson, who does know Mike Zimmer. Now, I thought Peterson's play has very much begun to decline in recent seasons, and you're probably not going to get a true elite starter out of him. But if you want someone who knows Zimmer, Peterson's one of the better names out there. Xavier Howard is still a free agent coming off of injury, by the way. But has some playmaking abilities. Didn't show it last year, but this was once one of the best corners in football. Fits the cheap veteran bounce-back candidate role. And then there's Stephon Gilmore, who I would very much like to bring back. And as long as he's unsigned, the hope of running it back at the one spot I think you really made the most sense to actually run it back would have been cornerback with Stephon Gilmore. Now, being able to retain him is a little bit more of an uncertainty. Maybe a team like Carolina or New England does it. 21 is still available for him. Does that mean it's a guarantee? No, of course not. And I don't think Zeke's switching numbers has anything to do with Gilmore. It still might happen, but it's not not the causation of it, So would you bring back Stephon Gilmore? I am down of your 3 free agents, Gilmore, Sean McEwen, Jaron Kearse, that are left unsigned. It's Gilmore by a massive margin for me is the one I would like to retain. Well, what do you think? Y for yes, N for no. Defensive tackle room right now is Osa Odigizua, Mozzie Smith, who you need to have a big-time year at nose guard. Justin Rogers can do nose guard stuff for you. Chauncey Golston, Carl Davis, and Denzel Daxon. Yeah, that's a bad defensive tackle room. Even if you are sold on Osa major breakout, which is possible, Mozzie being way better, you like Golston and Rogers as depth, I think you go 4 deep on the defensive line room. That's really thin for me. God forbid one injury happens, you are cooked. So some names to consider. Lawrence Guy fits the run-stopping archetype that Mike Zimmer has never been afraid of having. Isn't the same guy he was in his prime, but again, it's, May 1st. We're not exactly getting the best of the bunches available in free agency. Linval Joseph has ties to Mike Zimmer as well. He kind of fits that Justin Rogers mold of big guy stop run, which you need, to be fair. The most intriguing name is Calais Campbell. It's also a question mark of, is he in the Cowboys' price range? We know price is an issue for this team. They were willing to spend up to $3 million for Ezekiel Elliott. They were not willing to spend up to $4 million for Zach Moss. $3 million seems to be their price range this offseason. Maybe they will spend a bit more for Calais Campbell, who's old, but still productive. Their dark horse name, which again will at least give you a depth that's played in the NFL, is James Lynch, who has not always been the most impactful piece in his time in the NFL, but it does give this team depth, and I will also make notes, at least spent some time with Mike Zimmer, by the way. Did not play in 2023 due to a torn ACL, hence the 2022 stats up there. The Tyler Guyton and all the other rookie jerseys for your Dallas Cowboys are available over on Fanatics. Go to chatsports.com/Guyton for the Tyler Guyton one. You can also then adjust from there and search for other players on the roster, or the 15 Zekes will be available, I'm sure, soon as well. Get your jersey today, chatsports.com/Guyton. That's chatsports.com/Guyton for the Cowboys rookie jerseys, Tyler Guyton specifically. I want to make note of safeties just because the safety free agent crop is good. I think you're in good shape here between Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, Marquise Bell, Israel Mukuamu, Wanye Thomas, and some other UDFAs and Sheldrick red wine as well, which is something about my wife's red wine jersey. She'll appreciate that one. Justin Simmons is one of, if not the best free agent left unsigned. He is a highly intelligent football player that I think would fit great with Mike Zimmer. And even though he is still unsigned in May, I suspect would be out of the price range for the Cowboys. We are required by Cowboys law to mention Jamal Adams as an option here. Because Adams was linked to the Cowboys so many times. Blitz Boy is no longer blitzed for Seattle, which he was really good at, by the way, and was never really an insult. Injuries, I think, have really robbed him of his play. I'm intrigued by Quandre Diggs being out there. Maybe even he goes back to kind of doing some nickel stuff potentially for you. I thought had some coverage lapses this past year in Seattle, but the safety market overall is very talented, so I did still want to make note of them. Wide receiver, knock on wood, CeeDee Lamb goes down, this team is in big trouble at the wide receiver spot. Cooks, Tolbert, Turpin, Brooks, Flournoy, Cropper, it's not the greatest group out there. There are some notable names, still led by Odell Beckham Jr. Now, Dallas was not among his teams linked, although several of the teams linked to OBJ did end up adding a receiver fairly early in the NFL draft. If Odell Beckham is down to be wide receiver 3 and is down to not complain about his role or his playing time and be the good soldier, so to speak, and he wants to take that $15 million deal and chop off the 1 and go 5 max, maybe it could make sense for Dallas. But they were never going to pay him what he was asking for, given that he did not pass their medical testing And I wonder how the Cowboys felt about him after he met with them and said he didn't want to play until the playoffs. That, I don't think, went over very well with several of the front office members. So do you want to sign Odell Beckham? OBJ for yes, no BJ for no. Vote in the comments. We'll merge these next two players together because I think they're fairly similar conversations. One of them is Tyler Boyd, who has shown the decline already. He's gotten worse every single year over the past 3 seasons, although he's had 2 great playmakers around him. And Hunter Renfrow, who has fallen off even faster than Tyler Boyd did. My biggest issue here is they're both slot receivers. And I want to continue to utilize CeeDee Lamb in the slot. And if everyone's healthy, maybe I don't need to go that route. I'd also like to add some speed, and none of these guys really adding the speed that I crave. Zay Jones, and maybe his old teammate DJ Chark could be options here as well. We did mention Zay Jones more in depth on the earlier video today, I should say, May 1st. So if you haven't already, go check that out and make sure you are subscribed. If the Cowboys sign a player, we will have a video for you, whether it's the full-on at-home style for Zeke Elliott, the fancy graphics if they do it, that's not at 6:30 Eastern time, or even just a simple short if it's, they brought back Tyron Billy Johnson. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. Even with the drafting of Marshawn Kneeland, I would not be opposed to adding another pass rusher. Sam Williams facing a pretty big season. Maybe they bulk up Junior Fehoko, or they just bank on him, and those are the 5, Micah, Tank Williams, and Kneeland and Fehoko. There are players I think fit the mold of what Dallas could be looking for. Namely, what about just an extra pure pass rusher? Kneeland might not be ready to be an impact pass rusher, but I think he'd be an impact run stopper. Yannick Ngakoue's the opposite. He's not a good run stopper. He can get after the quarterback still, though. Has shown signs of decline. Also played for Mike Zimmer very briefly back in 2020. Carl Lawson, I liked him a lot in 2020. I thought he was a prime breakout candidate. The Jets paid him big money, tore his Achilles, came back, played decently in 2022, and then kind of got buried on a deep Jets pass rusher depth chart. Added pass rush depth there for Carl Lawson. And the same is true for Emmanuel Ogbah as well. 5.5 sacks. He had been linked to Dallas the last time he was a free agent. Edge probably isn't your biggest need, but there are enough veterans that I think you can consider taking a look at out there.